Hello friends, this is Parvez and I welcome to all of you on my channel Global Studies Aspirants. And today, as you can see on your computer screen friends, we're gonna discuss about literary criticism. And in this part we are discussing Plato, and the time period is 429 347 BC. Friends, Plato was a great critic, philosopher and poet. Fine. So here in this regard today we will discuss about the Plato. Fine, let's get started. The very first slide over here friends, and this video lecture is really very important for those students who are preparing for net examination and TGT or PGT examination. Fine, okay, let's start. The critical views friends: art is an imperfect reflection of the world, which in turn is a shadow, a pale reflection of the ideal world. Here what Plato says here, friends, the art is an imperfect reflection, that is not perfect, imperfect reflection of the world, which in turn is a shadow, not clear cut, not visible, a pale reflection of the ideal world. Fine. And hence, art is an imitation of imitation, is thrice removed from reality. He further claims that art is an imitation of imitation, and this is the third time imitation removed from the reality. Okay, which is the reality that is not represented. Fine, there he's saying like that. Okay, and here art is a third hand distortions of truth. That's why he, as I told you, and this view goes by the name of doctrine of the ideas or forms. The objection was on the ground of metaphysical way of the poets. And here friends, this view goes by the name of doctrine of the ideas. Here you will find all these kind of critical views of the Plato. This is a collection, and this objection was on the ground of metaphysical way, that imagination nature of poets. Fine. Here way metaphysical way of the poets. And the second one paragraph here, the second objection was on the ground of ethics, like in moral principles, like that. Plato regarding the study of morals as basic, and wanted all acts to be guided by the moral principles. He, what he's saying, like that every kind of poetry or prose should be guided as per the morals or as per the regions. So he's emphasized on moral principles, friends. And imitative art has a corrupting influence on man, who should be governed by reason and not passion. So here is again he's talking about reason and logic. Okay, he's talking about logic and regions. That's why he's saying that imitative art has a corrupting or disturbing influence on man. That's why it should be governed by reason and not by passion. Fine. Okay, let's move on the next one slide friends. And here he's telling us that a philosopher is a moral custodian of the welfare of his people. He has a right to stand in opposition to any form of artistic imitation that deviates from the norms of reason. He again is saying the same thing, that yeah, as a being a philosopher, he's has the right to custodian to or protect of the welfare of his people, and he has a right to stand in opposition. And further he claims that he has a complete right to stand in opposition to form or artistic imitation, wherever he finds that there is a violence of norms or reason. So he should have complete he will have a complete right to stand in opposition. Fine. Hence he condemns the poetic imitation on the ground that it fed and watered the passions instead of drying them up, and let them rule instead of ruling them as they ought to be ruled, with a view to happiness and virtue of mankind. Here is telling us, friends, that he condemns the poetic imitation, as I told you earlier, and again on the ground that it fed and water the passions instead of drying away. Actually, it doesn't make them drying up, but it make them fade and water. Fine, he's saying like this. Okay, and let them rule, and further he's telling that let them rule naturally. Fine, naturally rule them, but what poet doing that they rule them. Fine. That's why he claims further that they ought to be ruled with a view to happiness and virtue of mankind. That's in favor of mankind, or in favor of virtue or happiness. Fine. And here the last one paragraph, Sale says that Plato exhibits the rare union of close subtle logic with the Pythian enthusiasm poetry. Sele is somewhere is condemns this kind of view. He says that close and subtle logic with the Pythian enthusiasm of poetry. Fine. And that's why it is not then, or this is that's why Plato doesn't support him. And a paradox that Plato, the most poetic of philosopher, is the avoid enemy of poetry. And being a philosopher, he is a avoid enemy of poetry. That's why. But here you can say Sele is a great impacted. There is a great impact on Sele by the views of Plato. Okay, in book 10 further of the famous Republic, he is the very most influential book written by Plato, and he's collected his wrote all his critical views in this book. Fine, and you should uh, go through this book or these notes properly, friends. If you really like, if you really study, if you really want to study the net examination point of view, so you should study comprehensively here. And here the most important critical views I already told you. And here further he banishes all the poets from his ideal state. And again he told us that he claimed in his views, friends, that all the poets should be banished or should be expelled. Where from their ideal state. Fine, because he knows that they doesn't show the proper reality, right? And he exiles poets on the ground that first on the behalf of metaphysical and second ethical, as I told you earlier. And all art being fiction is untrue. And he further claims that all art is not true because being fiction is not true. It is not a principle or in any fixed ideology, right? Then necessarily twist and distorts truth, or that's why they necessarily twist and distorts truth, the attainment of which is the goal for which is the ultimate attainment of or goal for man, that is distorted, right? So these are the some critical views written by represented by Plato. I hope you must be getting, friends. And if you really like this video, friends, please do not forget to subscribe our channel and really like the video, like the channel, subscribe the channel, and share this video to your friend circle. Okay. And now this is the time to say goodbye. Okay, I'll meet you again with the next video. Till then, bye and take care. Goodbye. Thank you so much.